In this video, I'm going to share an incredibly interesting project I've found in the Avalanche ecosystem. So basically this project, it's called Flagship DeFi. It's a combination of alpha and investing baskets, right? And they're also releasing an upcoming NFT project, which is why I wanted to cover this project right now, because I think their NFT collection is going to be something to really watch and get into early if you can. Now, full disclosure, I have invested a small amount into this project in their seed round. I believe they are holding further fundraising rounds as well, so it's not too difficult to get in if you're involved with their community. So guys, before we get into the project, let's quickly talk about the team. So the team is basically fully doxed. You can check it out at flagshipdefi.com/team, and you can see all the team members. So Jorn and Ivo are the two co-founders. Ivo has a very in-depth product management background and also crypto background, but really product management is where he's, basically had a lot of experience. And Jorn right here, he's kind of in the more CEO role. And again, he has a lot of crypto experience. He's worked with a bunch of crypto companies. He's written about crypto. So he's been working the space for a few years now. And you can basically find all of their LinkedIns on here. Their advisors are also really good. So the common thread is almost everybody on the team, or at least the co-founders and 3 advisors, they've had extensive crypto experience, and the 3 advisors have worked at Blockport, and now they're working on Bucks Crypto, which is crypto essentially exchange. And while Blockport was also a crypto exchange, right? So you have a pretty strong team behind there, and you can go into their LinkedIns and really just dive deep in. I've done that. Now I don't want to make this video super long, so I'll just cover the high level and allow you guys to kind of do the in-depth dive into their team. Now, what is the product they're building, right? So essentially they have a couple different types of products. So the first part of their product is something called Outposts, right? So Outposts are essentially in-depth alpha signals. So right now the way they're doing it is in their Discord, and these are basically very in-depth dives into different parts of the crypto sphere, right? So as you can see here, they have a metaverse outpost, gaming outpost, DeFi, Harmony, Avalanche, Stacks, NFTs, and Terra. So essentially with these ecosystems, they have captains that are responsible for updating these outposts. And that's a big part of the value you get from being involved in this ecosystem, whether it be by holding their token or by holding their NFT. So I've actually been diving into their outposts, and I've really liked it. I do think that they provide some in-depth info, and the people who are in charge of the outposts are actually subject matter experts. So I'll go a bit more deeper into this later. But the second big part of their product is the vault/index products, right? So essentially what the vaults and index products are essentially, in a way, ETFs, right? So most of us, when we invest into crypto products or when we buy crypto tokens, etc., you're buying individual tokens. In reality, what a lot of people do in the real world is ETFs, right? So they'll buy a basket, right? They'll buy maybe 100 tokens or 100 stocks, etc. And that's what ETFs do. So they want to do that for crypto, and this is not an uncommon thing, right? There's already a lot of people doing this. However, what's different about them is how they're doing it, because essentially they have these captains. These are the experts that are responsible for building these baskets, where they handpick, let's say, maybe 10 metaverse tokens, right, that they think will perform the best. And that allows investors with one click to be able to invest into those baskets and thus be able to get the upside on that, and then have an expert do the research. So they want to build vaults and index products for staking protocol tokens, DeFi projects on ETH, Sol ecosystem tokens, AVAX tokens, NFT collections, decentralized exchanges, metaverse, right? So this essentially allows you to get access to different crypto assets. Now, they're also considering creating vaults of assets such as tokenized real estate and commodities, so you have exposure beyond the crypto space, and all of these will be easily accessible through the Flagship dashboard. So how would this work, right? So essentially an investor would select a vault. Tokens are sent from the investor's wallet to the custody contract. The custody contract then sends the funds to the selected vault, and the vault contract exchanges the funds to other assets according to the vault allocation, and where applicable, the vault contract will employ assets in DeFi contracts. Vault investor, when they want to pull the money out, they can ask for request of funds and return of funds, and then basically the money would be swapped back to stable coins, and then the assets are sent back to the custody contract and then back to the investor. So you can take out the funds anytime from these vaults. However, there's usually an unbonding period and a transaction fee depending on the blockchain it's built on. So obviously if it's on Ethereum and you have Ethereum gas fees, yes, there's going to be a high transaction fee. So essentially, when you do deposit, let's say $3,000 in stablecoin, you receive a vault token, which represents pro rata ownership of the assets in the vault, and then that itself can be a tradable asset, right? So let's say you have X percentage of the vault, that itself you can trade that vault token on the secondary market if you so wish to. So how does this protocol accrue value, right? Like how do basically the value flow back to essentially the Flag ecosystem and the Flag token? So there's vault fees. So essentially, this is mostly based on a performance basis. So if a vault performs extremely well, there's a fee that's charged, right? So a percentage of performance usually is what it's like. And then there's an annual management fee, which is charged for the investment amount on an annual basis. So if you only deposit for 3 months, you only pay for 3/12 of the annual fee. Now, this is where it gets really interesting, right? Like up to this point, it's like, okay, this is cool, but there's a lot of projects doing the same thing. What's really interesting about what these guys are doing is how they're creating and curating the vaults and who's doing it, right? So essentially what they have is this role called the captain. So captains are the eyes of the Flagship network. They are the experts of a specific segment of the crypto market. Their job is to essentially keep on top of their selected sector or domain, right? So the captains essentially help the community access the opportunities in these different areas of crypto by creating these vaults and also updating outposts. So the outposts are the alpha signals, while the vaults are the investment kind of product where you can put money in. So initially the captains are selected by the core team. In the future, the Flagship DAO will manage this process, and the captains have to go through a strict KYC process, including providing an extensive thesis, providing on-chain data of their investment track record, and also they have to complete an interview with the core team. So the captain will also have to provide collateral and links to their social media and basically put in skin in the game to be able to do this, right? So they need to be experts in basically whatever area they're covering, and they need to have experience to that, and they need to actually speak to these projects and talk to them and really be involved with these projects. Now, the ultimate goal of the captain is to manage a high-performing vault, and so the captains can compile a vault, they can propose new vaults to basically the Flagship network, and if approved, they can manage and even rebalance this vault on a weekly or bi-weekly basis. They don't have access to the assets within a vault, but basically they can choose the allocation of a vault both in terms of assets and how these assets can be employed to generate yield. So as a reward for their time, effort, and knowledge, they receive a share of the fees their vault generates. The more capital is invested in a vault and the better the vault performs, the higher the compensation is for a captain. There's no limit to how much they can earn through these vault fees. So if they're able to build a really successful vault that's extremely profitable, they're essentially able to earn really high levels of basically profits. Now, quality control obviously is really important, right? So how do you ensure that the quality control is maintained high? So for the Outpost product, which is the alpha signals, and essentially, getting that information from these captains, like in the way they've done it with their Discord right now, where the captains are posting updates on what's going on in the industry, they're basically required to provide an additional stake to ensure skin in the game. So they have to stake a minimum amount of flag tokens for their outpost, and then for every successful weekly update, more flag tokens are added, and in case a weekly update is missed without notice, the full stake is slashed and sent to the Flagship treasury. So there's a lot of accountability with these captains, right? And then for the vaults, the captains are also required to provide a stake in flag tokens, and the captains have to be the first investor in their own vault, right? So each vault's performance is measured against 4 benchmarks. Number 1 is USD, number 2 is BTC, and number 3, if applicable, the ecosystem token or passive index fund, and then other vaults, right? So if a vault is underperforming, it can be terminated. The termination can either be initiated by the captain, the core team, or the community. And if the reason for underperformance is not mismanagement, but it's factors like market conditions, declining popularity of a specific ecosystem, or outside competition, stakes will be returned to the captain. Essentially, with this captain community, right, they'll be able to really kind of hold each other accountable. And what they really have that's an interesting idea is they have leaderboards, right? So there'll be leaderboards for the captains, and the best performing captains will be rewarded if they're at the top of their leaderboard with their vaults. So guys, I know I've thrown a lot of information at you, but the basic gist of it is this is kind of like a gamified way of, essentially building these indexes where you invest and you get access to a bunch of tokens in that one ecosystem. And then this is also an alpha signals group that's gamified. It's similar to Cubist Collective in the alpha, basically the alpha side of things, but they take it to a next level with these index kind of products, right? So overall, I find this project really fascinating. Now, they do have an NFT launch coming up. So the NFT launch is the flag tints, right? So these will be digital artworks of 1,000 explorers of cyberspace. And essentially, they can function as profile pics, but they also have functionalities that are really important in the ecosystem. So if you want to become a captain, you need to own a flag tint NFT. This can also be used as proof of membership. So instead of having to have a minimum number of tokens, you can actually just have an NFT to gain access to the ecosystem, get access to the outposts, and also flag tints receive a share of royalties earned through secondary market sales. So there's a lot of benefits here with these flag tints. There's only 1,000 of them, so that's why I would highly encourage getting involved with the community, seeing if you can get a whitelist. Now, as the project does evolve, they are going to introduce a DAO, so that's also going to be interesting. With Flagship, they're basically planning to eventually hand over choosing the captains, managing this whole project to the DAO, but this is going to take time. You don't have a DAO overnight. You need to kind of slowly introduce the DAO into the ecosystem and make sure kind of that they're guided into actually being able to manage the project effectively. So the last thing I want to mention is they do have a token called the Flagship token, which is what I invested into in the seed round. It's essentially the glue that basically ties the ecosystem together. It's their utility token. It's what's used to incentivize contributions, compensate captains. It's proof of the membership, so it allows you to kind of actually access the ecosystem. It allows you to access governance. And ultimately, token is what's going to allow Flagship to evolve into a DAO. So with the token itself, there's multiple ways to kind of earn it. So there's obviously staking, there's liquidity mining and rewards pool, and then there's memberships as well. So you basically get access to the Flagship, basically outpost and the vault, and you get reduced vault fees if you hold a token. And then it's also used for governance, so for making decisions onto the project and so on. Now, and you do earn extra flag for participating in governance. So there will be 250 million flag tokens. So the tokenomics are still a bit unclear to me, just because of the fact that I've seen it different in different places. However, I like the team enough, and they sold their tokens initially at a reasonable valuation, so I did get into it. I would recommend reading through their white paper or contacting their team for more details on the tokenomics, as I'm not sure if I can share basically the info I got in terms of tokenomics with the public. But I would highly encourage you to at least reach out to them or go check out their white paper to understand how the token works. For me, I was confident enough where I invested a small sum of money into their seed sale because I thought that, okay, this project has legs, and they do have a limited amount of tokens, 250 million. It seems like they have a great plan for how to distribute the tokens and set up their tokenomics. So I don't want to make this video too long, but I would recommend checking out the tokenomics. What I'm really interested in and what I think is a really big opportunity for viewers of this channel is the NFT sale. I think the 1,000 NFT supply is quite low. There's probably some good opportunities there to basically get involved in their ecosystem and make some major rewards and maybe even have some major profits from this. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. I may make a potential update video once I basically get more details on the project and they start building a bit more, so maybe in a few months time. But yeah, I'm pretty bullish on these guys. I like what they're doing with their basically their incentives for these captains and gamifying basically building these vaults, right? Because you essentially have these leaderboards, captains can compete with each other to get the best returns for the investors. So it's a very interesting project for me. This is the kind of project I really, really like. So yeah, guys, hopefully you enjoyed this video. Make sure to hit the like button and subscribe if you want to have me make more videos like this, and let me know what other projects you'd like to cover. Thanks again for watching.